screen pops up. Hopefully it won't take too long. There it is. So the streams are Hello, welcome ladies and gentlemen to round 3 of the PS4 RS2 Championship on Race Spec Esports. It's time for the Canadian Grand Prix here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, a 4.36 kilometer 14 turn racetrack. It's a Monza-like racetrack where it has long straights separated by a number of chicanes, such as the chicanes at turns 3 and 4, 6 and 7, 8 and 9, and of course the most iconic part of the racetrack, the infamous Wall of Champions chicane turns 13 and 14, given its name after the 1999 Canadian Grand Prix, where Michael Schumacher, Jacques Villeneuve and Damon Hill all crashed on the outside wall of turn 14 in the same race, and from there on out it was named the Wall of Champions. The racetrack itself is a warning heaven in my opinion. Incredibly easy to gather warnings in both qualifying and in the race. It will be a painful thing to deal with in qualifying, particularly with these dry conditions. The racetrack naturally demands the driver to push right to the limit, as there only is 14 turns on the racetrack. So you have to make every corner count in quali. So whilst pushing to the limits, it's very easy to cross over them. And drivers will have to be very, very careful of that in qualifying. But 18 minutes of qualifying has begun. Only 14 drivers have shown up for tonight's race. It's quite an underwhelming number of drivers, but at least we have a semi-decent number of 14. There's still plenty of people here. A couple of the main drivers out, including Izzat Kush and GeForce Swaggy. Two drivers right towards the top of the table are not here for tonight's race at Gilles Villeneuve. It's quite disappointing to see, but that means drivers such as ACW, GeForce Woglad, that name I'm still very much getting used to, and Spicy will most likely be the drivers fighting towards the top of the order. We may also see drivers like Spilly contest up there, and maybe towards the end of the race, Plebs as well. Mr. Consistency he very rarely gets any warnings during a race, which will be key around a demanding racetrack like this one. But we're going to ride on board with Hexagon here, a driver who is filling in for tonight's race, exiting out of the Wall of Champions chicane down the pit straight, heading towards turn 1, hard on the brakes, 4th gear, cuts it very nicely into turn 2. Takes a very nice line through there, steadily up the gears and heading towards turns 3 and 4. Infamously, this is the place where Sebastian Vettel bottled it in 2019, losing him a victory around turns straight, opens DRS, heading towards turns 8 and then turn 9. Very nicely, but invalidates on the exit, so his first flying lap is over. A bit of clap for both qualifying and the race, so no signs of wet weather, good to hear. So who'll be the next driver on a flying lap? Would that be Woglad, I wonder? We'll ride on board with him anyway. He might not be the first driver though. He's heading around turn number 10, the first corner in the final sector, then through turn 11, and then turn number 12. This right-hand kink is an official corner on the official Formula 1 track map of Gilles Villeneuve. It's quite incredible, really. Then 13 and 14 sideways on the exit was Woglad. Got a few times down, crossing the line. There's a 1 minute 8.278, but he's not the top of the order. That goes to ACW. 1 minute 8.058. He's just over 2 tenths clear of Woglad in P2. What is Rhythms, the German, up to? Heading through the wall of champion chicane, coming towards the line. This is actually going to be a very respectable lap indeed from Rhythms. 1 minute 8.151. Less than a tenth away from ACW at the top of the table, and still plenty of time to improve. So that is a very good benchmark lap there from the German. What about the Danish driver? IFR Ace in the Haas. Throws it through very ferociously through the wall of champion chicane, crossing the line. It's an 8-2. A very nice lap indeed. He's currently sitting in third place. See what the other drivers are up to. James has invalidated. Same with the gaming wafer. Spicy, yet to invalidate. Coming out of 7. Down the back straight away with DRS open. Climbing up through the gears. Heading towards turns 8 and 9. He's really going to throw it through here. Use all of the orange curve as he does there. Try and minimize track distance and open up the corner as much as he humanly can. Into turn 10. Then through turn 11. And on to the casino straight. DRS open. 8th gear. We'll see cars climb up and over 330 kilometers an hour. Hard on the brakes. 4th gear through the wall of champions. Opens DRS again on the pit straight. Crossing the line does an 8-3. Puts in P5 for now with 12.5 minutes left in the session. James, he's not using hot lap mode, so he's not on a flyer. Gaming wafer is the Williams driver. He turns 3 and 4. Bit of a hot spot for warnings through there if you're not careful. Then through turn 5. A fairly innocuous corner in the dry. Not so much in the wet, you do have to be careful through there, but according to Roscoe, we don't have to worry about any sort of wet weather. Down the back straightaway, heading towards turns 8 and 9. Oh, and that's an invalidation. Cutting too much of turn 8, it's cost him. But with the relatively short lap, he's got plenty of time left to set a proper flyer. Roscoe, he has also invalidated. Hexagon, hoping to not invalidate this time round. Here we go, DRS open now. 8th gear. Speedo climbing. He's going to hit about 330, then he'll stamp on the brakes. Throw it in there. Very nice job indeed. DRS open, stays roughly to the right hand side of the circuit. Does it 8-6. So currently 7/10 of a second is separating the field who have set lap times. Be interesting to see what the other 3 drivers do. But it is an incredibly close and competitive qualifying session at the moment. Very close indeed. Now I just want to try and get rid of that prompt in the bottom left, because that stayed up there for a while. Roscoe, he is invalidated, but he's done several laps, I do believe. I know, he's just done the 1. He might be coming in. He will be. It seemed like he's done several laps. Sector 3 yellow flags. That is a slow car. I believe that is ACW. Looking at the map. There's a Renault behind. Is that Woglad or is that Leo? Let's have a look. It is Woglad. So we'll go with ACW here on the pit straight heading towards turn 1. Let's see how the fastest man at the moment operates himself around this racetrack. 3rd gear, 4th gear, and keeps it in 4th on the exit of turn 2. Into turns 3 and 4. 4th gear really cuts turn 3. Doesn't go on the grass for 4. Goes flat. Armco on the outside of turn 6, through turn 6 into turn 7, and he's purple to the first sector. Opens DRS, 7th gear, 8th gear, underneath the Rolex bridge. Now into turns 8 and 9, really throws it in, hitting his marks well. Car looks very stable too. Really important at a track with critical traction zones, like here at turn number 10. A bit of a lock-up, but I don't think it will cost him too much time. A brief yellow flag as well in the second sector. I believe that was Woglad making a small mistake. Now into the final critical part of the racetrack, the Wall of Champions chicane. hard on the brakes, 5th gear, really throws it in there, using all the track limits and sideways on the exit, but he catches it well, crossing the line, does a 7.733. That is a massive improvement there from ACW. Now, well, glad he's down on his time, but he might be trying to set another one, and I think he is. He's kept it in hot lap mode. He's going to have another go. Currently 4th overall. And if he improves by a little over of a tenth of a second, he jumps to the front row. Ooh, I heard a brief lift off there through turn 4. Let's have a look at the sector 1. He's down by 2.5 tenths. That's not looking good for Woglad. Now, Rhythms. Oh, pushing too hard there, way too hard. Now, has that cost him an end plate? Astonishingly, it hasn't. We're right on board. The RS Open. Hugs the right-hand side. He'll move back over to the left for turn 8. Throws it in. Very nice through there. Using all of the track limits, he is definitely pushing. But his sector 2 time does not look good. Down 2.5 tenths. He might be going into the pits. We'll see what Ace is up to. See if we can't find any other drivers on flyers. Alex invalidating. Leo is coming around the wall of champions. Invalidates at the final corner. James coming towards the final 2 turns on the racetrack. Throws it in hard. Right up towards the wall using all of the track available. Does a 8.3. Jumps to P8. Roscoe, he's not on a flyer. Or rather, he is, but he's invalidated. Ace is up by 0.02 of a second. He really needs to nail this final sector if he wants to improve position. There's a McLaren pulling off to the side. That is Roscoe, the only McLaren here. But Ace coming around the final 2 corners on the racetrack, really pushing hard. Fantastic to watch through there. Crossing the line, does an 8 flat. That's a tremendous improvement in the final sector. Jumps up to P2. Gaming Wafer. Around turn number 10. Then 11. DRS Open. 8th gear. He's got a car in front. It's one of the Haas's. It's bound to be James. He's on an in-lap. Wafer, oh, sort of second guessing at the Wall of Champions chicane, but he gets through it very well. Does an 8.6. Jumps to P11, but incredibly close. Still about a second separating 1st to 13th place. Incredibly close at the moment. And there's still plenty of time left in the session. 6 minutes around a track this short. You can at least get 2 laps in if you drive efficiently. Alex on an out lap. Oh, Spicy's on the flyer actually. We're right on board with the Mercedes. Up by almost a tenth. 3/4 of a tenth of a second. Yeah, that works. Out of turn 7. On the back straightaway. Into turns 8 and 9. Or a somewhat awkward run, I think, through there. He could have cut a little bit more of turn 8. It would have made turn 9 a bit easier to get through. He's actually lost time to his personal best in the second sector. Alex wisely pulls out of the way to let the car on a flying lap through. Opens DRS. Here we go. Watch the speedo climb. 320, 325, 330. 333 indicator, and he's in. He's not actually going to finish that flying lap. Sideways on the exit. Alex Pato now on a flying lap. He's going to begin his lap. Into turn 1 we go. Locking up, missing the apex ever so slightly. They'll compromise his run just a little bit through turn 2. Not a great deal, but a little bit. Into 3 and 4. 5th gear through here. Flows it through very nicely. Sector 1 says he's up. 77 thousandths of a second. DRS open. Into the next chicane. Turns 8 and 9. A lot nicer run through there compared to Spicy's run, I feel. Cut the corner quite nicely, turn 8. And he's up, and he's purple to the second sector, in fact, almost a bit over 2.5 tenths up on his time. If he can keep that sort of momentum going, he's going to end up in the 7s. Speaking of the 7s, Plebs, who I haven't been keeping an eye on, has just done a 1 minute 7.8. Let's see what Alex can do. Through the wall of champion chicane, right up towards the wall. DRS open, up and towards the line. It's a 7.9. So it's looking good for AlphaTauri right now. They are P2 and P3 at the moment, with 3.5 minutes left in the session. Woglad now on a flyer. Every driver has set a time. Roskawam at the bottom of the table on the medium. Around turn number 5 into turns 6, then turn 7. Hexagon has retired from the session. He's satisfied with an 8.658. Woglad really throwing it round. Let's have a look at his sector 2 times. He's up by almost 1/10.5. He's not quite in the 7s just yet. He needs a really good final sector here. There's a couple of cars warming up their tyres in front. This may cost a Renault driver. Nope, Spicy gets out of the way. Very nice of him. Now he doesn't have to worry too much at all. Into the wall of champions, 4th gear. Oh, misses the apex of 14 though. He could have cut a little bit more, and he does an 8.1. That's 5th place overall at the moment. Spicy, who we just saw Woglad pass on the Casino Straight. Now he's on a flyer. Yellow flags, that's a racing point. That must be Spilly. And he gets out of the way. Very nice of Spilly there. He understood where Spicy was behind, and he got out of the way very quickly and very effectively. Oh, this might be costly though. Woglad cuts the racetrack to avoid impeding Mercedes-Benz. Gaming Wafer also slowing down. He has had trouble on his flyer. No, sorry, he's on an outlap. That explains everything. Around the hairpin. Through turn 11. DRS open. What can Spicy do heading into the wall of champions? Is he going to throw it through here? Very nicely, actually. He didn't take a too aggressive line. He was very much under control. Does an 8.127. Puts him P5 at the moment. Rhythm's on a flyer. He's coming towards the end of his lap. Drivers trying to get out of the way. Drivers who are on flying laps. What can the German do? Through the wall of champions, using all of the track limits. Very well controlled there. He's going to cross the line and do an 8.1. He only barely improves by 13 thousandths of a second. It's not enough. He's staying in P7 for now. Ace is on a flyer, and so is ACW. Our current pole sitter, he is up by 600ths to the first sector. In the second sector, he's up by 1/10 of a second. Around the hairpin of turn 10. Then into the brief kink of 11. There's a car pulling off to the side. It's Spicy. And he opens DRS for the final time in qualifying. Well, actually, for the second last time in qualifying. There's one more DRS zone coming up just after this. The Wall of Champions chicane. And then he opens DRS for the final time. Really pushing hard at the moment. And he does a 1.7. He doesn't improve. Does a 1 minute 7.770. He'd be gutted with that. He was up by 1/10 in the second sector, and somehow he threw it all the way in the final. Ace is coming towards the end of his flying lap. The Danish driver on the pit straight coming towards the line. Does a 1.7.896. Jumps to P3 to the second row. Plevs on a fly. Same with Alex. Both AlphaTauris coming towards the end of their final flying laps. And Alex is in. He will not be improving. What about Plevs? He's invalidated. He was up by almost 2/10. What could he have done if it wasn't for the invalidation? It would have been pole position, actually, for Plevs. If he didn't invalidate there, he'd be absolutely gutted with that. And that is qualifying over here at Montreal, and it is ACW who will be starting on pole with Plevs alongside. Not a bad quali session with only 14 drivers. I'm rather impressed with that. Very close indeed, from first all the way down to 13th place, separated by no greater than a second. Very nice. Look at that. Just under a second separating first to 13th. We have Roscoe, who'll be starting from plumb last, but he only qualified on the medium tyre. Perhaps he's got a strategy in mind for the race, hoping to start towards the back, hopefully avoid all the midfield carnage, and then steadily move his way towards the front. But for now, from qualifying, it is ACW on pole, Plevs in second, Ace in third, Alex Pato in fourth, Spicy in fifth, Woglad in sixth, Rhythms in seventh, James in eighth, Leo in ninth, and Spilly will round out the top 10. All of the drivers will be starting on the soft compound tyre. Well, all of the top 10 will be starting on the soft compound tyre. We'll see what the drivers outside the top 10 will start on for this race. Now, tyre strategy is an interesting one. There's a few different strategies available to you. A really important thing to remember with Montreal is that the undercut is incredibly powerful. You can gain so much time by doing the undercut. The pit lane is relatively short as well, as you effectively cut the Wall of Champions chicane, turn 1 and half a turn 2. So transit time isn't very long at all. So the two-stop is a very viable strategy. But if you would like to, you can do a one-stop strategy. I think soft and medium is probably the way to go, though I feel as if a lot of the drivers will be doing a two-stop strategy of some sort, probably a soft medium soft or a soft medium or something along those lines, unless of course we have a safety car, which is a fair chance of happening around here. We tend to get some pretty big accidents at Canada. Safety car is not a rare occurrence. However, we do only have a field of 14 cars. Less cars means a lower chance of a safety car, simply because there's less cars on track. So it's all these things that drivers have to factor in before the start of the race. Have a game plan, stick to it or change it. It's completely up to them. We'll just have to wait and see. But with the drivers on the formation level, we'll have a look at what the drivers outside the 10 are doing. And it's quite an interesting tale. Gaming Wafer, starting in 11th, is on the medium compound. Alongside him, Hexagon has decided to gamble a little bit, slap on the hard tyre. He'd be quite a bit slower, I imagine, than all those around him, so he's going to struggle in the early phases. He might be hoping for a safety car here or there. Might bring him back into it, but we'll see how the Red Bull driver fares. Nunny in 13th place, also on the medium compound, with Roscoe starting at the back of the field in 14th place on the medium compound. Hopefully it should be an interesting race. Well, one would hope. We'll keep it on. Tell you what, we know what the drivers are on, so we'll keep it on position change as they have fitted on. But yeah, 35 laps here at Montreal. It should be a fairly interesting race, I imagine. It might be boring, but best to keep an open mind, I suppose. But no, I'm looking forward to this. A high skill sort of quality group here around one of the more demanding racetracks on the calendar. Should see some fantastic skill on display. Drivers are all lined up. We're all ready to go. But here we go. In Montreal, we have 5 red lights, and it's lights out, and away we go. By God, that was fast. And ACW gets off the line and covers Plebs immediately. He will lead into turn 1. And down the inside goes Ace, and it's around the outside through turn 2. And he gets him. He's into P2 as we have a lap 1 glitch. So drivers appear out of order, but it is Ace who is in second. That's a fantastic start from the Danish driver. As we go through the first sector, everyone appears to get through relatively okay. Spilly has dropped to the back. And oh, incident! It's James and Spicy, I believe, have come together, and James falls down to 13th. And he's got a missing end plate on his car as well. Spilly has no such drama, but he has lost 3 positions off the start. But that's unfortunate for the Brit. He'll have to come in and get that replaced. Around the hairpin go the midfield. We've got cars side by side. Hopefully these midfield runners behave themselves here, as Leo is right on the back of the gaming wafer, heading towards the wall of champion chicane. Will he go for a risky dive bomb? He is certainly showing the nose, but he doesn't commit to a move. Wafer right up towards the wall though, and into the pits, as I suspected. Oh, covering! Oh my word! A bit of a lag spike there, but you can see there, Wafer covering off Leo. Oh, and the Red Bull goes into the back of the Renault. The Renault half spins, but he catches it. A fantastic bit of driving there from Leo to hang on to that one. But Nunny has got wing damage from that collision. He will have to pit, surely. Yes, you can see there the end plate on the right-hand side is missing. Spicy on the attack, overtaking Roscoe Arm. He's now into 11th place. And now he's in behind the Renault of Leo, who had that superb recovery at turn 2. I don't know how he managed to catch that. Typically, when that sort of collision happens, it's sort of impossible to recover from, but he did a superb job, really. Genuinely. That was a good bit of driving there. Field starting to spread out a little bit, as the leaders are coming towards the wall of champion chicane. ACW remains in the lead. Ace trying to hunt him down in second. The gap is 7/10 of a second as they begin lap 3. Plebs is trying to hunt down Ace, although he is dropping back a little bit as DRS is now enabled. For Plebs, he needs to stay within a second of the Haas driver in front. He wants to stay with this battle for first place. His teammate Alex Pato is currently in 4th. Woglad making up a position off the start. He's into 5th. Spicy in 6th. They've got Rhythms in behind in 7th place. Gaming Wafer up 3 positions. He's into 8th place, the highest of the medium runners, as you can see there. Nunny up into 9th place, also on the medium, but has wing damage from the collision he had with this man who just got a penalty, Leo. He's got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, and he'll have to deal with that at the end of the race. Spilly, after some lap 1 accident that I didn't get to see, is down in 11th. He was down at Plum last, though that's now owned by Jamie James, after his incident on lap 1 at turn number 6. As Spilly has just made a move on Leo there into 10th place. Roscoe Arm in 12th, and Hexagon into the pits in 13th. Back towards the leaders, the gap is 7/10 of a second between the top 2. Now I feel as if it might be a bit bigger than that. That doesn't look like 7/10, that looks a bit bigger. Let's have a look. No, it is genuinely 7/10. Round turn 7. And onto the back straightaway. You can see here the Haas does have DRS as James is setting fastest laps in the clear air. Through the chicane. And critically for Plebs, he is staying with the Danish driver. Into the hairpin, turn number 10. A bit of a lock up there for ACW. Won't cost him too much though in momentum. At the moment, Ace not quite in any sort of position to attack. At the moment, he's sort of just hovering around 7 or so tenths of a second behind ACW. It seems that the Alfa Romeo has the edge over the Haas at this stage of the race. In the background, Spicy is on the attack, trying to pass the Renault of Woglad. In the background, Spilly and Leo fairly close together. Spilly on those soft compound tyres, I would assume has a bit of an advantage over Nunny, who's on the mediums with that damaged front wing as well. He is yet to pit, so he's planning to soldier on even with the missing end plate, as you see there. Now down the back straight. Alex now a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Around turn 9 goes 3-3. Again, Spilly not close enough to attack. So Nunny doing a fine job on this medium tyre to hold those two behind at bay. Spicy, he has DRS. His colleague in front doesn't. He's gaining on Woglad at a rapid pace. Oh my word, right up towards the wall, the cars behind. They're really pushing the limits. Only 6 laps into a 35 lap race. Again, it just illustrates how demanding this track is. How in the dry you have to really push the limits. It's effectively a street circuit in a way, with the barriers lining the racetrack. Very little in terms of runoff area. You can see here, basically the road is lined by each side by the concrete. Now into the hairpin, Spicy, very deep on the brakes. He gains a little bit here, but I imagine Woglad should get a better exit, and does get a better exit. You see there, the gap increases to almost 6 tenths as Spicy opens DRS on the Casino Straight. There's Rhythms, sort of just vibing in 7th. Oh, and Woglad's in, and Spicy follows. So does Rhythms. Very smart, I think, from these three. As I mentioned earlier, the undercut is incredibly powerful around here. So these drivers playing very, very smartly here, all coming in at the same time. You cannot afford to let your rivals get an undercut around here. It is far too powerful. Unless you commit to a one-stop, which these drivers certainly aren't doing. Here comes Spilly. There's Rhythms. He's on the outside. He should get better traction, the German, and does. That's very lucky for Rhythms. If he got stuck behind Spilly, he would struggle to get past. But he's in front in a little bit of clear air as well. 1.7 seconds behind Spicy. On those fresh tyres, he should be able to pull away, though I believe Spilly will see an opportunity to perhaps gain a position here. He's staying with the German as Spilly gets a 3-second time penalty, or the German really using the track limits on the exit of turn 9 into 10. As two drivers are in, ACW and Ace. Plebs elects to stay out. I wonder what the game plan is for the AlphaTauri drivers. Both of them electing to stay out. And here comes Spilly, as I thought he might, using DRS on the long Casino Straight just before the Wall of Champions chicane, and he gets him with absolute ease. No real fight there from Rhythms. And here comes Ace and ACW coming out. And there's Woglad and Spicy. Only 3.2 seconds behind the effective leaders. Well, that gap was significantly bigger before the pit stops than just 3.2 seconds. So, again, demonstrating the power of the undercut. But what will more accurately represent the power of the undercut is when Plebs elects to pit. And we'll compare his position on the road compared to ACW and Ace. And Plebs was only a second behind those two. And he's in. He's gone one lap longer and he's in. So remember, He was 1 second behind Ace before those two decided to go for a pit stop. Let's see what happens here. Onto a medium compound, away he goes. And here comes ACW and Ace. Plev's still in the pits. Coming out now. And the two in front are going around turn 2. Plev's gap is now 2.2 seconds. So after just one lap, they gain a bit over a second. If Plev stayed out any longer than that, he would be in the clutches of Woglad and Spicy. Fortunately, he isn't. James, a 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings. Quite a common sight here at Montreal. Spicy yet to find a way past the Renault of Woglad. Half a second separate the two. Heading towards turn number 10. Spicy again not quite close enough to attack. He needs a good run out of here in order to attack the Renault. And into the pits goes Plevs' teammate Alex Pato. Nunny, a 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings. He's currently second overall. Again, not quite close enough, Spicy. Heading through the wall of champions on the pit straight. He's got DRS again, but he's not close enough to attack Woglad. Alex coming out of the pits. He must have had a wing change. He's lost a lot of time compared to his teammate. I'll just check that. Yes, you can see there right at the bottom. Lap number 9, Alex Pato. Front wing change, 8.3 seconds. He has lost a lot of time. Perhaps it wasn't a planned stop from Alex. Maybe he wanted to commit to the one stop. But instead, with that wing damage, he had to come in and get that replaced. But now Ace appears to be troubling ACW a little bit here. Round the hairpin of turn 10. Then through turn 11. He's going to use DRS here to sit in behind the Alfa Romeo. He's not going to use overtake, it seems. Is he close enough to attack? He might go for it here. Down the inside, into the wall of champions. A very nice overtake there. A lot of respect shown. And now Ace overtakes ACW and now claims third place. The effective race lead. Alex Pato, a 3-second time penalty next to his name now. Now can ACW keep up with Ace? He will need to if he wants to take victory here at Canada. Getting spicy. He has no answer to Woglad at the moment. The Renault doing a very solid job of keeping the Mercedes at bay. Now they have a bit of traffic that might help the Mercedes. Roscoe Arm on 10-lap-old medium tyres will be a bit of an obstacle for these guys to try and pass. It's not as if Roscoe Arm is just going to let them by. He's genuinely in 6th place. It is his right to battle for position. And Woglad's going to use overtake and DRS. He's not close enough to attack, nowhere near close enough to attack here. But he might get a solid run through the wall of champions. And in fairness, both of them. Oh, Roscoe Arm spins! Oh dear, an unforced error there from the McLaren, and he's in the wall. That's end plate damage as well. You can see the debris. Oh dear. Oh, he'd be kicking himself for sure. Perhaps got a bit too eager at the exit of 14. Got on the throttle too early. Ooh, his tyres will be shot to pieces, hence why that happened right there. Now Nunny and Ace close together, and this is affecting Ace here, as the gap between him and ACW has closed quite a bit, heading into the hairpin. And there's a gaming way for Ace shows his nose, Nunny gives him room, through 11. Opens DRS, both drivers will. That sort of nullifies things here. Ace won't be able to get by the Red Bull here. Through the wall of champions, he is right in behind. He's going to have the inside line to turn 1, perhaps. Will he go for it? He will. They're side by side. Round turn 2. The Haas will go the long way. Should get better traction on the exit, but Nunny holds on. He's going to look around the long way into turn 3, then turn 4, and the Red Bull gives in. Now ACW has to find a way past. The Red Bull defends. A big send from ACW, but he overcooks it. Somewhat reminiscent of what Vettel did in 2011, but in wet conditions. This is in the dry. That's a massive miscalculation there from ACW. Into turns 8 and 9. This will benefit Ace now, because he has to get past Gaming Wafer, and he might be able to go for it here. Oh, he's not close enough to attack just yet. But he should be close enough to get past here using DRS. It should be a fairly straightforward overtake. And is. And now he takes the lead. Through the Wall of Champions chicane. And into the pits goes Nunny. He pulls the pin. He doesn't want to stay out for too much longer. And that's going to be a front wing change as well. It's quite a solid drive there. From that incident at turn 2, which damaged his front wing, to hang on, drive as well as he has. Pretty commendable performance, that. But now Ace really needs to get a move on. He has to use Gaming Wafer to his advantage. Fortunately for Wafer, he has DRS on the back straight, so ACW can't take him here. But the gap between Ace and ACW has increased to about 1.5 seconds. Oh, and Gaming Wafer, he's bottled it. A big slide out of turn 9. And he's unleashed ACW just before the hairpin. However, does ACW have DRS now? Or was he in front at the DRS detection zone? He was in front. He won't get DRS. Perhaps Wafer can counter-attack. I'm not sure. Here comes Pledge. He's got to run. And what's Wafer up to? He might be going in the pits. He is going in. It's one of the most awkward pit lane entries, and gets a 5-second penalty as well for measure. Very awkward pit entry. Probably the most awkward out of the lot. It'll be up there with the likes of Monaco. Austria is another awkward one. Singapore, that's definitely up there. It's just annoying because you're coming in at 330 kilometers an hour. You've got drivers braking for the Wall of Champions chicane, and you have to measure yourself compared to the drivers in front to make sure you don't crash into him, but also so that you don't lose too much time. Meanwhile, Spicy has finally found a way past Woglad, though he hasn't pulled away. Gap is half a second between these two, and now Spilly is involved in this fight as well. So effectively a 3-way battle for 4th place going on right here. Round turn 10. Woglad, he'll have DRS. Gap is half a second. Sitting in the slipstream. He'll be gaining on the Mercedes here. You can see that gap close. Now on the 410s. ACW a 3-second time penalty. That was at the wall of... Oh, and a mistake there from Woglad. Here comes Spilly. He uses DRS, uses overtake. He'll have the inside line for turn 1. Wogboy, or Woglad I should say. He's going to try and hang it around the outside, but he can't do it. He slots back into 6th place. Spilly into 5th. But that's a costly error from the Renault there of Woglad. A simple lapse in judgment at the Wall of Champions chicane. It's cost him a place and a bucket load of time. Alex Pato a 3-second time penalty. Multiple warnings. At the moment, not too many other battles going on at the moment. Ace still leading the way. Gap of 1.9 seconds. ACW now has Plebs to worry about. A gap of 7/10 heading into the final chicane. Again, Plebs will close in on the Alfa Romeo here. And in the walls. Spicy, I think he clipped the wall there. No damage though. And that's Roscoe pulling out of the way. Oh, what a torrid race he is having. So long as he finishes, though, that will be points. As the top 15 drivers score points, seeing as there's 14 here, no reason for you to retire. Gaming Wafer off the racetrack. What has happened between these two? Gaming Wafer off. No damage, though. I saw James. He was exchanging positions with Wafer. No damage on his car either. Something has definitely happened between those two. Spicy. 3 seconds now next to his name. And he has got Spilly gaining on him. Gap is half a second, heading around turn 10. And now Leo is clawing onto the back of this battle as well. So we got 2 Renault Mercedes. All of them battling for 4th place, and Woglad is the only one of this group of 4 that doesn't have a penalty. DRS open for all 3 of these drivers as they're hunting down the black arrows of Spicy through turn 1 into turn 2. Spilly looking very fast at the moment. Into turns 3 and 4. 4th gear goes Spilly. A bit of an awkward run there from Woglad. He's lost ground to Spilly, but probably more importantly, Leo's closed in quite a bit here. James, a 3-second time penalty next to his name on 16 lap old mediums. Now he started on the hard tyre, if I remember, so he can put on another set of mediums and go to the end. I believe he has met the tyre compound requirement. I'll check just now. Sorry, no, soft to medium. Okay, wasn't hards, it was soft. Hexagon was the driver who started on the hards. Into the World of Champions once again. Sector 3, yellow flags. That is Roscoe Arm getting out of the way. All he needs to do is finish and he'll score points. All he needs to do is finish, and that I'm sure he is very much aware of this. As Spilly on the attack into turn 3, they go in side by side. Through turn 4, they give each other space. Fairly respectful racing there, and Spicy ends up on top. But he's not done, Spilly. Coming onto the back straight, and now Woglad and Leo are going to get involved in this fight. You can see there Leo in the wing mirrors. Just saying, hello teammate, I'm right here. And he gets a 3-second time penalty. He'd be saying, damn, Woglad. Got another one, though, that I have to deal with. Damn this wretched racetrack and its brutal track limits. But Spilly, he'll be in a nice position to attack. He's got a bit of ERS to play with if he wants to use it. But he's not. Heading towards the final 2 corners on the racetrack. The gap is less than half a second. A bit sideways on the exit as Woglad is in. Ooh, an interesting call. I like this call as well. He's going to get an undercut. Now, if those 3 drivers in that battle are wise, and they most certainly are, it's probably a good thing to pit in this lap. You must minimize the undercut. Pretty sure those medium tyres can easily do 15, 16 laps. Might need a bit of tyre conservation, but it will give you track position doing this undercut. So I'm sure Leo, Spilly and Spicy, they'll all be coming in. Rhythms has also followed Woglad. That is also a very smart decision, because he's only about 2.5 seconds behind the battle for what was 4th place. Let's see what these fellas are up to. Meanwhile, Ace is pulling out a fine lead. 3 seconds over ACW. Speaking of which, he's under attack here, as I think ACW is going to go into the pits. I have a feeling. No, he just let Plebs by with ease. Oh, what's happened here to ACW? Something's not right. That was a very awkward one. Spicy, Spilly. Leo stays out. Interesting call there. But as I thought, negating the undercut is what Spilly and Spicy are doing right now. It's a very wise thing to do. Where is Woglad? Where is he coming out? This had to have been a fairly decent lap from Woglad. Where are they? There is Spicy. Does he come out in front? He does! The undercut has worked. He's now in front of the Mercedes. Excuse me. He was 2 places behind the Mercedes. And now he's in front. But now they've got Gaming Wafer on hard tyres. And I think he's able to make it to the end on those as well. So they have to genuinely overtake him for position. And Spilly has actually lost a bucket load of time. He's behind Rhythms. Did he have wing damage, I wonder? Must have. That's the only reason why he would have lost so much time. Yes, front wing change. 8.3 seconds stop. Now he's got all the work to do to try and catch up as Ace dives into the pits. And here comes Woglad. A fairly straightforward overtake, I imagine, here. Well, I say that, it might not be. No, he does get it done. He does get it done. Into 7th he goes, and now Spicy has to do the same thing. Heading towards turn 1 as they begin lap 22, and a big send from the Mercedes. Oh, in contact! But Wafer says, no, thank you, sir. I'm keeping this, thank you very much. But unfortunately, because he was on the inside, not on the racing line, he wasn't able to get a decent exit at turn 2, and ultimately had to relinquish the position anyway. But it's a bit of a argy-bargy there between the Mercedes and Williams of Spicy and Wafer. But I think for Spicy, he really couldn't afford to muck around too much with the Williams. See there, Roscoe Arm getting out of the way, doing a fine job. Showing some of the rookie drivers who... Oh, what on earth? How did he do that? That is one of the most bizarre things I have seen. As ACW has pitted and gone onto the soft tyre. Now here's Ace. He's got Alex Parto in front. ACW, he'll come out just in front of Nunny. Gap is 4.4 seconds, but he's on soft tyres. He's going to be incredibly quick. But he's very even on fuel. That's what the yellow icon means. He's even on fuel. Doesn't have a lot to play with. See here, Ace trying to get past the Alpha Tauri of Alex Parto. Yet to do so, though. He needs a good run here, though. If he can get a good run out of turn 10, which he does, he most certainly does, he'll use DRS. Alex is using overtake, though. He doesn't want to give up his position. Ace telling him, mate, I'm quicker than you. Just let me past already. Stop using overtake. And here we go. Unfortunately for Alex, he's got no overtake left. He's just been overtaken there by IFR Ace, and he gets past. He's now into 3rd place. ACW is on a charge though, on those soft tyres. He needs to get a hurry on, and he also has the penalty that he has to deal with as well. So not only does he have to catch IFR, not only does he have to pass IFR Ace, but he also has to build a margin of 3 seconds over the Danish driver. Never mind. Ace has now got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Commentator's curse has struck again. Meanwhile, Woglad has done a superb job fully utilising the power of the undercut. He has pulled away from Spicy. The battle for 8th place, 7th at the moment, appears to be somewhat over between these two. Unless Spicy gets a move on or Woglad makes any sort of mistakes. Spilly has just overtaken Wafer for 10th. He's got Rhythms in his sights. Now Alex Parto. He's under assault here from ACW. Gap is 6/10, and that is going to be rapidly closing. Meanwhile, Ace is trying to get past Leo here. He'll get DRS, use overtake as well, and it's for fairly straightforward overtake, must be said. Ace now into second place. ACW trying to overtake Alex here. Getting into the hairpin. Not close enough to attack. Oh, but Alex runs very wide there, and he lets ACW through. Perhaps a complete misjudgment there from Alex, I don't know. He didn't lock up or anything, but he sure went wide. Oh, and that's debris on the racetrack. That must be Roscoe Arms McLaren. He must have made a mistake through there. Pleb's now on the soft tyre, going to the end of the race. He's doing 10 laps on them. Where is he coming out? There's Nunny. Comes out in front of the Red Bull in 5th place. He is in a fantastic position. No penalties, on very fresh tyres, on soft tyres as well. He's going to be lightning fast at the end of this race. Now ACW has to get past Leo. Renault driver currently holding second. Yellow flags, that is Roscoe Arm, making sure he gets out of the way. Leo, a 3-second time penalty and a mistake at turn 9. Does ACW go for the big send? No, he's not close enough to do that. Into the hairpin. Now through turn 11. ACW right in behind the Renault. It should be a straightforward overtake. It really shouldn't be too much of a fight, though. Leo has got some legs. He is pulling away, and into the pits he goes. And a penalty to boot as well. 5 seconds, in fact, for speeding in the pit lane. So this is it. Battle for the win. Ace is currently leading the way. Both drivers have the same amount of penalties, though they are on different strategies. Ace is on 5-lap-old mediums compared to ACW, who is on 4-lap-old softs. The gap is 2.5 seconds. And in fairness, I can't just skip out on this driver either. Plebs, he is 3 seconds behind ACW with no penalties next to his name yet. So this could be a genuine battle for the win here, folks. Between 3 drivers. And when they cross the line, there will be 8 laps to go. Roscoe Arm, a 5-second penalty. Cross the pit lane, exit white line. Bit of a brutal penalty for a driver who was down in 14th. 3 laps down. But anyway. As Alex Parto has just overtaken James at the hairpin. He's now into 10th. Gap is closing between the top 2. Now 1.9. Heading through the chicane. Sort of holding 1.9. This is going to be an incredibly intriguing battle. Nunny a 3-second time penalty. Woglad holding on to 4th place. He has opened up the gap to 2.7 seconds. Woglad has absolutely nailed his final medium stint. He has done a superb job. Spicy is under a bit of pressure here from Spilly. So we got a 3-way fight for 5th. Spicy with 3 seconds, Spilly with 3 seconds, Rhythms with 3 seconds. They all have the same amount of penalties. So this battle is genuinely on. And Spilly's on the attack. Using overtaken DRS, he is in the slipstream of the Mercedes. The Mercedes defends, but the Spilly goes further. And he gets the position. He's now into 5th. And he'll get DRS here as well, and he'll use overtake. Spicy does no such thing. Only because he has nothing left in reserve. That was a fine move from Spilly. Spicy defended hard, but there was just enough room for the Racing Point to shoot on by down the inside into the wall of champions. A fine move indeed. Back to this. This is definitely on. Gap now 1.6, 1.5 seconds. ACW and Ace closing together in the dying laps of this Canadian Grand Prix. Through the wall of champions once again. Crossing the line, it will be 6 laps to go. At the moment, Leo overtaking the gaming wafer. He's now into 8th place. Let's see. Spicy on the back of Spilly. Yet to let him go. This battle definitely not over. Into turn 6, then turn 7. Gap about 8/10. Rhythm's hanging on as well. At the moment, Spilly is keeping both of them at bay. ACW now only 1.4 seconds behind the race leader. He is running out of laps here, and the laps are pretty quick at Montreal. He really needs to get a move on, try and get within that 1 second range. 5 laps to go. There's a Sector 2 incident. It's Roscoe arm pulling off to the side. Getting another penalty next to his name. He's not having a good race. And that gap has increased a little bit. 1.7 seconds. First sector, you see that ACW well down on his personal best. Those tyres will be quite worn. And it appears as if now the medium tyre might have the upper hand. Gap is now increasing between the top two. Now 1.9 seconds as they head into the hairpin. The gap between second and third is closing. Gap of 2.1 seconds now. Heading towards the chicane once again. Nunny and Wafer exchanging positions. Wafer down to 10th. 4 laps to go. Gap now 2 seconds. It's not looking good for ACW. He is losing time now to the Danish Haas driver. And the battles elsewhere seem to have nullified. Spicy nowhere near in a position to attack. Spilly Rhythms has lost time to both drivers, now 1.7 seconds behind. Alex Parto on the attack. Through turn 2, Gaming Wafer in front. Bit of a sitting duck on those 17 lap hold hard tyres. Through turn 4. Sitting right in behind Alex Parto, ready to strike. And here we go. Got DRS. Does he go for a move? He just might, you know. If he's got enough momentum, probably wise of him. He stays back, doesn't go for it. Roscoe arm getting out of the way. He's had an absolutely torrid race, hasn't he? Oh, and Alex, he thought about it. I reckon he thought about it. Probably thought wiser of it. Oh, and a bit of a moment there for Wafer. Those tyres will feel absolutely horrible. Especially compared to Alex on these soft tyres. He passes Wafer with ease. He's now into 10th place. Battles really seem to have nullified now. But now Plez is gaining. We might have a battle on track for second. And the gap between him and the leader is 3.7, 3.8. I might just briefly change that to leader. Because Plebs doesn't have a penalty just yet. This isn't over. The fat lady hasn't sung yet. Gap is 4 seconds between Plevs and Ace. If Ace manages to get another penalty, might spell disaster for him and a potential victory. On the pit straight again. Now 2 laps to go for these 3 drivers. Woglad is making his way through the World Champion chicane. He'll be beginning his second last lap. Gap really increasing now between ACW and Ace. 3.3 seconds in fact. Plevs, what is his game plan? Is he settling for second or will he go for it? Though he has a monumental task to close in to within 3 seconds of the leader. Realistically, the leader needs to make a mistake. Into the hairpin for the second last time. Plevs is on the attack now. He'll have DRS. And he'll be closing in on ACW at a rapid rate of knots. Through the Wall of Champions chicane. Gap is 6/10 as James disqualified from the session, receiving too many penalties. He will not be scoring points here at Canada. He is out. So this is it, the final lap, lap 35 of 35 here at Montreal. Plevs is on the attack. Through the chicane of 3 and 4 into turn 5, the gap between the leader and third, 5.3 seconds. Oh, and Ace does have 6 seconds. When did he pick up another penalty? This is really on for Plevs. Ace needs to get a move on. Either that or ACW needs to hold up Plevs for as long as he humanly can. Gap is 5.8 seconds. Oh, and Plevs just lets it... Hang on, ACW just let him by. Absolutely no fight there from the Alfa Romeo. He just lets him by. 5.8 seconds is the gap. This is going to be an incredibly close finish here, folks. 5.7 seconds. Ace has to really throw it through here, and does. He has used every inch of track. Gap is 5.5, 5.7. Crossing the line. 6 seconds. 6 and... Oh, this is going to be incredibly close. Crossing the line. 38 thousandths of a second separate the top 2. But it is Ace who claims victory. Only just so. I thought Ace still had only 3 seconds worth of penalties. But no, he gathered another penalty at some stage, which I didn't see. My word, that was incredibly close. ACW in third. GeForce Woglad in 4. Spilly in 5th. Spicy in 6th. Rhythms in 7th. Leo in 8th. Nunny in 9th. Gaming Wafer crashing out with Roscoe Arm in 10th. Alex Pato in 11th. And Hexagon going into the pits for whatever reason. I don't know. But that is an incredibly close finish. In fact, we might be able to see when he got that penalty. Hang on. Let's have a look. If we scroll down, he got it on lap 30. Didn't pick up on that. So 6 seconds worth of pens for Ace. It almost cost him a race win. One of the smallest finishing margins, I imagine, in race spec history. 38 thousandths of a second. And I imagine Ace would be pretty pleased with this one. Though a couple of the top dogs aren't here, it's still a high quality field, and to take a victory in this sort of high skilled tier would be quite an achievement, and he'll be quite pleased with this. Plevs might be a bit gutted with that. Second place in the end for him, and ACW in third. I'm not sure about what happened there at the hairpin. ECW just sort of let him by with no trouble. I don't know. It's not very sportsmanlike, is it? Especially when they're not teammates. But anyway, we'll see how that pans out after the race. The other finishing positions: Woglad in 4th, Spilly in 5th, Spicy in 6th, Rhythms in 7th, Leo in 8th, Nunny in 9th, Gaming Wafer in 10th, Alex Parto in 11th, Hexagon in 12th, Roscoe Arm in 13th, and Jamie James disqualified because of too many penalties. Leo claimed fastest lap and driver of the day, given to Spilly. Starting from 10th, clawed his way up to 5th place. So even with a field of 12 cars, 14, we still had a pretty decent race. Just shows what Canada is capable of doing, I suppose. I have seen boring races around here, but this was pretty okay, I must say. Definitely one of the better ones I've watched, for sure. Above average, I would say. But I think that just might conclude round 3 of the PS4 RS2 Championship on Race Spec Esports. Next week, we are going to one of the most magical racetracks on the Formula 1 calendar. It is easily one of the most legendary racetracks in not only Formula 1, but in the world of motorsport generally. Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps is a 7-kilometer ribbon of perfection, described by Keke Rosberg as quite simply the most perfect road course in the world. And I tend to agree with him. There is very few tracks that have the same sort of demand and respect like Spa, and also couple that with its somewhat unpredictability in regards to weather and some of the auto spin curbs on the racetrack. Drivers definitely have to be on their toes for next week, but we'll just have to wait and see. But I believe that will wrap it up. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, so much for watching. I've been the Smeg, and we'll see you all next week for the Belgian Grand Prix at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Until then, goodbye.